You're listening to the Last Man In podcast. Covering Winnipeg hockey and the NHL.
Scheifele dances his way in. Scheifele scores! Mike Wheeler finds the far corner. And the Winnipeg Jets win it in overtime.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
How is that the intro if you can't even
I can't.
through it?
You
can't even try and say it.
No.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Oh.
Okay, you know what? First time ever. Homework for everyone. By next week, us included, watch the movie The Room. I've never seen it, but Greg just showed us ridiculous clips. The reason you're going to watch one of the worst movies of all time is because apparently they're remaking it.
They're not. There was a book that came out about it called The Disaster Artist, and the Franco brothers, along with Seth Rogen,
Yep.
are doing a movie on it called The Disaster Artist. If you haven't seen it already, go check out the trailer for it. Just type in The Disaster Artist trailer into the YouTube search bar after you watch this video, or open up, click right click on the YouTube thing that you see while you're listening to this video, and just open next tab and search The Disaster Artist.
The link will be in the description.
It'll
right
literally
now.
be everything you want. If you need a pick-me-up, you watch that because it is a display of the worst acting ever, but it's James Franco making fun of the worst acting ever. And we were actually not paid to say any of that, which really sounded like an ad at the start of.
Actually, if you
I
want to
didn't
just
know
go,
this movie existed.
Actually, if
until
you want to,
10 minutes
you
ago.
could just go to www.imdb.com. imdb.com
Slash the room.
Last Man In podcast / the room. We get 10 cents every click, so hook it up. Hook it up.
So we'll get one click.
Yeah, or if you go to Amazon, just go to amazon.com / Last Man In podcast.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Rotten Tomatoes score for that movie?
It's like 32%.
Okay, over
What?
under.
That's not even terrible.
Greg,
It's
that's
32%. I'm pretty sure it's 32%.
Mighty Ducks has like 17.
Yeah, but because people like watching terrible movies, that's why.
What? Mighty Ducks is fantastic.
saying?
I know, but there's only so many Canadians. Not
That's true.
everybody wants to watch Trinidad and Tobago play against the Mighty
Legit,
Ducks.
32%.
Is it 32? Thank you. Yes, that's what I thought.
I watched The Mummy last night. That got like 15%. That movie wasn't even that
With
bad.
Brendan Fraser?
No, the new one.
With
Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise?
It wasn't even that bad.
Cam liked it.
Oh, the one with the girl?
Yeah.
Dude, that
Wasn't
mummy's
that bad.
attractive.
Yeah.
I had some
I can
weird...
see why people don't like it, but it wasn't
Yeah.
terrible.
What a crazy twist they had to start, like how they're going to start making
Whoa,
Universal...
whoa,
No.
No spoilers.
It's no spoiler.
Okay.
Okay, at the start, you know how Universal
They're doing a
has a
universe,
dark
yeah.
Universal?
Yeah.
It's like shows Universal and it turns and you go around to the other side.
Cool.
Yeah, she's attractive though. She's a nice looking lady.
Okay.
She could eat Triscuits in my
So the
mouth.
reason why you're here is to not listen to us talk about movies. It's to listen to us talk about hockey. So today what we'll be covering on the show will be a Central Division preview for the NHL, where we get to talk a lot about the Jets this year, as well as we'll talk a little bit about the World Junior Showcase that happened over the weekend, as well as talk about the pre-Olympic the pre-Olympic game that turned into a brawl. There was a little bit of a fight between Canada and Russia. Two countries didn't like each other.
Yeah, we have some history with Russia, so that's good.
I recall some game where lights were turned out because they just kept fighting.
I think that's 1988.
I think it was 1988.
Yeah.
Where Don Cherry said it was like a disgrace or whatever.
Which is weird because Don Cherry, like, if you could...
No, Don Cherry was fine with it. It was Bob Nicholson who said it was a disgrace.
Who is now the head of Team Canada, or Hockey Canada.
Which, whatever side you want to fall on is whatever side you want to fall on with that. But I believe that's his quote. I could be wrong, but it was something along the lines of that.
The refs had no control, that they literally called the rink operator, like, shut the lights! Shut the lights!
That's how you
Who's
do
in
it.
my mouth?
Yeah.
Dewey, leave the women and children behind.
Oh,
Sorry.
boy.
Oh, look at this. Like 5 minutes in already, and everyone's gone. We lost everyone. It's just us again.
It's just the two of us. Three of us.
Just the three
I
of us.
All of us.
always appreciate a good semi-pro. line. So
Hey, they won't let me cash this check. You're not going to the right bank.
God damn it, Fakita, speak fucking English.
He's 6'5" and ugly as sin. Here comes whatever his name is.
Oh, from fucking semi-pro. Oh. He's got a face his mother won't even look at.
My favorite line: corn dogs, Jackie. Corn dogs.
What did he say to
I still want my money, Jackie.
What did he say to Father Daniel?
Suck my cock, I'll murder your family.
Oh, that's it. You've done it. You know what, Jackie? Your mother wouldn't be proud of you. Oh, no.
We go to the same church. Not anymore.
Yeah.
You know what movie I saw again over the weekend was Step Brothers?
Fantastic.
Oh my
Great
god.
movie.
You forget about some of the lines that just start the movie. Oh.
One line I always I don't know what he says, but who's that guy who the brother who has ripped abs? And he's like, I cover him in
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott, I cover him in baby oil an hour a day. Look at these. Look at these. And
It's
he
so obvious.
punches him in the face.
No.
I'm not calling him dad.
There's a
Even
fire.
if there's a fire.
No, definitely when the father screams, geriatric fuck.
Oh, yeah, he's running at him with the bike. He's just holding it above the dad.
I watched my own grown son yell rape at the top of his lungs. He had this look in his eye.
And at one moment he said, let's get it on. Great
Welcome
movie.
to Movie Hour, actually.
Yeah,
We're reformatting. We're rebranding. All right, let's get into it.
Call me Dragon.
What's that?
Call me Dragon.
You have to call me Nighthawk. I got a belly full of white dog crap. Now you lay this shit on me.
Why are you all sweaty? I was watching Cops.
I'm gonna put my nutsack on your John set. I'm gonna smear it all over. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Central Division. Are we just gonna go up?
The universe sucks monkey.
What?
The universe this sucks monkey balls.
No, my personal favorite is when he buries him in the backyard. And he's digging the grave. And he turns around and he's like, Brendan, I saw you die. He's like, no, I was faking. I used ninja focus to slow my heart rate down. And he fucking hits him with the shovel and buries him.
Industrial grade night vision goggles. Could you imagine if we had these when we were 12? Even better, we got them when we're 40.
All right. Okay. Now
Hockey.
we gotta go.
Great
Hockey.
movie.
Sports. Let's start with the Jets, obviously. Because in all reality, this needs to... I've talked to multiple people about this. I think a lot of people are on the same page. This has to be the year the Jets not only make the playoffs, but at least be competitive in a series. And by competitive, I don't mean being every game, leading every game, and still get swept. I mean, you got to win a few games. You got to give some reason for hope in the future. If they don't make playoffs, there's no hope there. If they get swept again and they make playoffs, there's a little bit of hope, but not much. So you really have to... I think they have to push forward this year.
Yep. Oh, I agree.
Basically, this is the quote that a couple people I've talked to have said. 2 years ago, we said, we'll give them 2 years and we expect playoffs. Not we would like playoffs or it'd be nice. That phase is over. It's time to show what you're worth. This team isn't getting any younger. They're young. Don't get me wrong. They're young. They have lots of room to grow, but I want that room to grow to be in the playoffs. I don't want room to go regular season. I expect them to be in the playoffs at this point. And if they don't make playoffs this year, again, well, here's a telling tale. What's Chevy's contract? Because I know Maurice, this is literally the last year of his contract, and they haven't re-upped
I think
him.
Chevy's up too.
Is Chevy up? Okay, you know what? I don't know if you can find that, but if...
Okay, no, you continue.
No, I was going to say, I like that the Jets ownership group have not extended them, saying, you know what? This is a prove us year too. We like where you're going, but you know what we like more? Winning. Every team should be able to make, every team, their goal should be to win the Stanley Cup. The only way you do that is if you make playoffs. Once you're in the playoffs, anyone, you all allegedly people have equal chances. I don't think so. But you have to get there and find out. And they haven't gotten there in a while.
They've gotten there 1 out of 6 years.
1 out of 6 years they got swept. But I mean, hey, they were playing a pretty decent Ducks team, and they were just they're a completely different team than what they are now.
His contract is up at the end of the year.
Fantastic, good. That's what I want. I want that
As
fire.
well as
I want him to feel it.
The entire coaching staff, I believe, is up at the end of the year.
All of them.
So if things go south, they could just do a full, rebuild. Not rebuild, but,
Full haul.
100%.
Full kind of a
exactly.
retool of the front office. So
Yeah.
They have to make the playoffs. They can't not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they have to win the first round, but they have to, like Greg said, they have to be in it. Like, they have to have a chance to win the first round. Because if they can't, then, yeah, like I said, there's just going to be a big change. They have the pieces that are there. I mean, they don't, like, name one thing that they really could use at this point. Maybe another depth forward, but
at that point, if you only need another depth forward,
like, what do
trade
you
deadline. You know what I mean?
You can go and get that. The other thing too with this team, I said it in the Free Agent Frenzy video that we made, or the podcast. You weren't here, Cam, I don't think. But I said, it was very clear that this was a step forward off season for them by signing Steve Mason, getting Dmitry Kulikov. They made a clear point of extending guys. The biggest thing, and I think that one of the biggest red flags for them is obviously this is their biggest year, because you look at their cap friendly. After this year, you have 6 RFAs. 6 RFAs and 2 UFAs. You only have 5 forwards signed going into next year. So clearly this is a big year. This is an important year. Mm-hmm. So I think that is telling as to where the Jets thought they'd be, that they thought this would be the situation they'd be in. And it's very interesting to see that that's the progression they wanted to go on, and to show that they've never really gone off track. Because if you think about it, since the beginning, the team that we got from Atlanta wasn't terrible. And personally, I still thought that we were better off with Atlanta over Arizona, or Phoenix at the time, when the team moved here. And we've made the necessary steps to continue to get this team better every year, and we've now seen the progression of that. So to kind of see that whole vision come to fruition over the last few years is interesting, because you look at this and you have more than half the team up at the end of this year. So clearly they knew something was going to be coming around now. Yes, most of them are RFAs, but you started Dano, Ehlers, Tanev. They all started around the same time, right? And then you had the Morrissey contract come up around the same time. The Trouba was around. There's reasons why all these things are falling into place now. And I think it's telling that they had a vision all along, and that this is going to be the next step season. That after this year, either things go according to plan, they make playoffs, they maybe win a few games, be competitive, and they go forward with the core they have, or they blow it all up and try to restart. The best thing is through all this, they really have never had a reset moment. They've never been like, okay, what we're doing isn't working, so we have to reset. They've done things that I haven't agreed with, but it's very clear that they've never had one of those, holy shit, what the hell happened to us type seasons, because even though they had second pick 2 years ago, they weren't the second worst team in the league.
They just lucked into that.
Exactly. So they've never really they've been always around 8 and 14. Mm-hmm. And the 1 year they weren't. They were in the playoffs. But other than that, they've been consistently in that spot, slowly retooling and rebuilding. So it's very clear that there's that progression that they've wanted to go on. And with the fact that you have as many expiring contracts as they have, there's a reason why they only signed Connor Hellebuck for a year. There's a reason why 2 years ago they only signed Michael Hutchinson for 2 years. You see these deals continue to come in. They're not giving guys long-term deals unless your name's Mark Scheifele, Patrick Laine, or maybe Dustin Byfuglien. But it's very clear there's a vision for the future. Mm-hmm. Like they clearly, it's very clear that they knew what was going on with Chevy and Maurice, and saying if we need to, we're going to adjust according to those guys. Because if they need to bring in a new coach at the end of this year, because I don't think Maurice is the issue, nor do I think Cheveldayoff, because I think he's proved now that he's prepared to make the moves when it's necessary, like it was this offseason. So it's very interesting. I think they're in a very advantageous position, because if things don't work out well and they don't carry forward with some of these guys, they have the opportunity to move them.
And they can still fall back on. They have a pretty solid young core in terms of, well, at least, well, I'll just, like, Trouba, Morrissey,
Logan
Laine,
Stanley.
Ehlers, Scheifele, Logan Stanley. Like, those are pretty, those are 7 pieces or 6 pieces.
And you
that
don't
are pretty
and,
nice.
and we still don't know what Vasileinen's like. Like, he could be good. You still have Tucker Pullman. Still have Kyle Connor.
Yep.
Still have Jack Roslovic. Who knows what Jansen Harkins is going to do? Who knows if he can come and play, right?
Yep.
A Michael Spacek, Nelson Noje, Jan Kostelek. Like, they have a lot of players. They just do. So, and then you still have Eric Comrie as well.
I was going to say, you missed one of the bigger ones, but it's because of
They haven't
they're
had a-
allowing Hellebuck and
Yeah.
now Mason, they brought him in to actually see.
But they have another entire 2 lines of players, both forwards and D, down in the minors that could have a shot one day. Like, I think Nelson Noje could be a serviceable 6th, like, final pairing, like, 3rd pairing defenseman. But I don't think they want him to be that. I think they want him to progress into a top 4. Because there'll be a time when there's no Dustin Byfuglien, there'll be a time when there's no Tobias Enstrom or Tyler Myers, and they'll have to prepare for that. Maybe that's what Noje does. Maybe, and you also have Tucker Pullman coming in. Like, this team is prepared to move forward with the guys they have in the system if guys don't work out. If they have to move Trouba because he's not working out, they have the flexibility to have other guys in the lineup as well.
They moved True, but it's not because it's not working out. It's because he doesn't want to be here.
Exactly.
So,
You're right.
Still, they want you to believe, Dan. You're listening to the media.
I mean, but watch. If you watched him play last year, he was the best defenseman they had.
Because they had to. He put them in that position.
Well, but
He's
he
like, you better play me.
He was damn good.
He was good.
I
He
like-
was
good.
he was arguably one of the best defensemen, like one of the most noticeable defensemen from year to year. Because if you looked at him the year before, I didn't think he played very inspired hockey.
Well, first year, skyrocket. Second
Yeah.
year, plateau, kind of. Slowed down.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily go backwards, but just kind of leveled out. Last year, not necessarily a skyrocket, but a decent climb.
His third year, I thought he backtracked a little bit.
So last
Yep.
No, so he had 3-year entry level. His
Oh, yeah.
first year he skyrocketed, second year he plateaued, which I agree with.
Yep.
There was injuries that played into that. His
Yep.
third year I felt
Oh,
that
yeah.
he was very mediocre. I felt that he took a step back. In last year you saw that drive and willingness to win again was there, and wanting to be there. So
Yep.
time's only going to tell, but it's very, very telling that this team has a plan and things are going according to it in their minds, because the team is kind of where I think they expected them to be.
And it's a good year for them to be in this spot because I think their division's going to change a lot this year.
I think it's going to change a lot over the next 5 years.
And
I think there's going to be
I'll
a
just
weird
say
shift.
it right now. I think this year is going to be a lot different. I'll just say it right now. I have them finishing 3rd in the Central. Winnipeg.
I'll open up my trusty.
Are we going to
little
go
Excel
into?
sheet.
Oh, right. I guess we'll go team by team.
And
Yeah.
if you want, I can explain later. But I think
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a different year for the Central.
Well,
yeah, I mean, when Colorado is going to be first and St. Louis is second, like it's.
And
gonna
you might
be a
disagree
different-
with the teams that I have ahead of them and behind them, but
I know last week I said
I
we're
just-
probably going to agree. I think this division, because we see it so much and talk and hear about it so often,
See-
I feel we're going to be all over the map, each of us.
I had them. I had the Jets finishing 4th, like getting a wild card playoff spot. But then I thought about the division, thought about some of the stuff that's happened in the last week specifically, and I think they can grab 3rd. I think it's going to be the top 4 or 5 teams in the Central are going to be very close. I don't think there's going to be necessarily 2 teams up here and 3 or 4 teams in the middle. I think it's going to be very close. So,
Okay, I can't wait to see Dan's
but
because
So-
he's saying what I think is going to happen already.
so,
what's your point projection for Winnipeg?
3rd, what would that get them?
Well, we said playoff line was what
95.
95. I'd
Those are-
say 103.
103 for the Jets.
I think they're. You know what? And maybe I'm being extremely optimistic, but they have a proven the number 1 goalie. Their defense got better. If their defense can, you have to keep in mind that
Cam disagrees with the number
That's
1
fine.
goalie.
but you have to keep in mind that
He's seen too much Steve
their
Mason.
D wasn't healthy at all last year. Tyler Myers played 12 games.
Well, and that
Jacob
that's,
Trouba played half a period with Tyler Myers in the whole year. If their D core stays healthy with Kulikov being added to it, and they get good goaltending, they should be a very good team.
Oh, I just want to say on the note of Dmitry Kulikov, Jets officially announced fun jersey number time.
77?
77.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Is he?
That's
Yep.
sweet. I'm
Let him
pumped about
keep
that.
it. Oh, thank you.
I like that. I
Good.
like
No
that.
more boring old loophole Lou.
Okay, well, that's because Lou Lamoriello is old school.
Yeah, no, I know.
Old school.
You know,
Only certain numbers. When half those numbers are retired, when you retire 13 numbers, it really limits.
have you looked at Montreal?
Yeah.
No numbers available. None. They're all
You
on it.
can't go from like I think it's like 1 to. I think Gallagher is 11, and that's the only
Well-
non-retired 1 to 15 or whatever. Like it's crazy.
They had to unretire certain numbers to just honor them. So you have to ask all who have worn that to wear it. I.e., like Connor Hellebuck asked the Schneider family if he could wear 37. They're like, yeah, totally fine. Get it. Okay, that's a good way to do it.
Yep.
Allegedly, Evander Kane asked Bobby Hall. I have a tough time believing he did, but whatever. That's fine.
I don't know if Bobby Hall would remember
Well,
that.
What's that?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
Where do you guys think the Jets are going to finish? Let's put it that way.
Oh, my numbers? I have Winnipeg in 96 points.
Playoffs,
I have them
playoffs or no?
Yeah, fourth. I got him in
Fourth?
the wild card. Or I got him in fourth. I won't necessarily. How I pick playoffs to make it easy on me, so I don't have to think too hard. I just give each team 4. Each division
that's
gets
fair.
4
That's
teams
fair.
because I don't want to think about it too
That's
hard.
fair.
I have Winnipeg in 96.
I had a hard time picking where I had them, but I
Okay,
feel
Greg.
confident
We
where I
haven't heard
landed.
what points you have for Winnipeg.
I think 99 is what I'm going to take. I really think that they're going to take a step forward this year. Their biggest problem over the last 6 years has been longevity and people being injured. Like, they just get hurt all the time. And having guys that have only played AHL, it's tough to make that step all the time. But if they can stay healthy, they can really, really push. I think there's going to be a moment in March where they'll get it on a hot streak in like February maybe, and they'll really push and be like in talks of being like 4 points out of the division lead. And I think they're going to have a rocky March or a very mediocre kind of even keel March, and they'll push themselves from being like 4 points out to being like 8-9 points out of division lead. So I have them in the wild card at 99.
I can tell you right now what's going to make or break their season.
Okay.
They have a 10-game homestand in February.
That's why.
They have 10-game
They're
homestand.
going to get hot in that. Like, if they...
And I'm pretty sure it's right after the All-Star break, so
Yeah.
I think they're literally home for a month.
So
if that's going to make or break their season right there.
So if you look at a 10-game homestand, realistically, you need 16 points. I think. If you go...
Out of a possible 20.
Out of a possible 20. So 6-0-4...
So you need 32 out of 4. Well, no, sorry, 20. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so if they go 7-1 or 7-1-2 or 10 or 8-2, like I think that puts you ahead a lot. Especially like I said, if I have a feeling they'll go on a stretch in February because I think that's when a lot of teams, once the All-Star break happens, as we've seen before, teams that are in the playoffs at the All-Star break more often than not make the playoffs. Who are in the playoffs?
American
at that point.
Thanksgiving. That's the
And the American
That's so quick, though.
That's
That's a
quick.
month and a half into the
I know.
season.
But you tell a lot by a team by that point,
Yep.
right? Like,
Oh,
look at the
100%.
Jets last year. They were 4-5-1 to start the season again. And they fell off. They need to get hot at the start of the year, which I think they will. I could actually see the Jets having a really good opening to the year, minus losing their home opener to the Leafs. They'll have a really good start to the
Can
year.
we at least have dueling Hatties?
We won't have
Nylander
to.
and Matthews. Dueling
No,
Hatties.
it'll be...
Not-
I know
So-
for a fact Line is going to score at least 2 goals against the Leafs, if not 3. And then Kyle Connor's going to be playing. He'll score probably 2 goals. Because why? I'm not allowed fun. I'm not allowed enjoyment.
Can
There'll be
Josh
excitement.
Morrissey get
So-
at least an assist on
Yeah.
one of those? Yes.
the way it kind of shakes out here. They play Anaheim January 25th on the road.
Yeah.
Their next road game after that is February 23rd.
Whoa.
Are they in Death Valley from like before the All-Star break there?
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to go into the All-Star break.
No,
'Cause
I lied. They're Sharks and Ducks. That's it.
so Sharks and Ducks.
Yeah.
If they
Play
can win,
they play Vancouver.
Do they go on a
Okay.
Death Valley trip? Oh, to fill everyone in, Death Valley is where you hit up Arizona,
well,
San Jose.
it's
So
San,
legitimately, they're
it's San Jose, Anaheim, LA.
they're
Yeah.
Was because those teams are all really
and it's
good.
usually within like 5 days.
Yeah.
So you just get
so.
wrecked.
Here's the bigger thing. There's at least a day in between every game on the 10-game homestand. That means
Whoa.
for a month they don't play any back-to-back.
That's
and
gonna
they're all
be-
at home.
That's gonna be huge. For
That's
them.
huge. And they play I'll just tell you some of the teams. They play Colorado twice. They play Vegas. They play Arizona, Florida.
But I'll say one thing about those final 2 games before the All-Star break. If they can get 3 of a possible 4 points going into the All-Star break, that is such a moral boost going into a break like that, because you're on a high because you just played 2. Despite the fact that I don't think I have some hate on for Anaheim because of a certain coach there, it's 100% not warranted. Like, Anaheim's a good team, even though the fact that I dislike them, it's a personal opinion. It's not fact. I think fact is they're a good hockey team. And you're going into San Jose, who I still think is a very competent hockey team. If you pull 3 of 4 in their own building, I think that's a moral high. Like, that's a moral boost right there, and push you all the way through into the All-Star break and out of the All-Star break.
They also have a 6-game homestand in March.
Interesting.
So they have a lot of home games towards
And
the last.
all of their home games, again, as Dan mentioned before in the previous homestand, there's breaks after every game.
So there's no back-to-back home games.
Yeah.
Do they even have a back-to-back home game this all year?
They had one. They might have 1 or 2. They usually have 1 or 2 a year, but I don't know. I mean, the schedule this year literally could.
Well, remember last year
their
was one of
season.
the worst schedules we've ever seen.
I mean,
But
the Jets always complain that they have to travel so much, and
I
Nice to have a 10-game home.
I had stats on.
I can't remember a 10-game homestand ever for anyone.
We had
Teams do
eight in January a couple years. Or
No,
was it February?
I think
Where they won like all of them.
I think 6 was the most we've ever.
But I
had.
think that
But still,
those homestands
it's-
make or break your season.
But remember last year how they had one of the worst schedules pretty much of all time?
Yeah.
Well, apparently how they make schedules is it's broken up into a third, where you have a third favorable, a third average, and then a third not favorable. Well, I gotta say, the Jets schedule last year, like, I'm not one for complaining about schedules. They got shafted real hard for like the first 2/3 of the year. It was just like, hey, you have a game in Buffalo, and then you fly to LA and play it that day. And you're like, what? What is that?
So I think my favorite one was, you played Vancouver, and now you're going to play Winnipeg afternoon on Sunday.
Who had that one?
No, I thought we did.
Oh, we did. That was over a weekend. I remember
they
that.
play
Okay.
Friday night in Vancouver, Sunday afternoon.
Oh, Sunday afternoon.
I thought
the
it was
next day.
Saturday night. They had one where they played Saturday night in Chicago, maybe, and then played here in the afternoon.
They had one where they
multiple.
had, I'm pretty sure, a 6:00 game Saturday and a 4:00 game Sunday.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think they were. I thought there had to be 24 hours in between, but maybe not.
No, all that matters is you have to be on that airplane by 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Or like 11
Exactly,
a.m.
because I'm pretty sure there are some of those early Sunday morning games. I'm pretty sure some of those teams play Saturday at some point and then play Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we're talking
Which
about
is
rough
the worst.
schedules, like the Flyers, they'll play the New York Rangers
Oh yeah,
at
okay.
7 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah,
And then they got to play the Islanders at noon on Sunday.
yeah, that's tough. That's tough
Yeah, it
scheduling.
is.
Super
You
tough.
know
Tough.
how long a metro is from Philly to New York?
Well,
Like 48 minutes.
I could understand trying to drive there by vehicle would be impossible because traffic doesn't move in New York. It would take you literally that long. But I hear walking's faster than driving in New York.
Guys,
At least if TV's showing me anything, because you can always get a cab on TV, but the cab never gets you anywhere on time. Cab's always late. If New York TV shows have taught me anything.
Well, you know what? It's all about making your
it's
way
true.
downtown, walking fast. Okay,
No,
that's
no.
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 Miss you.
Since Greg went a little crazy with the treats us last week, I'll make one right now.
Oh.
Marking it in.
I don't think this is going to happen. I'm just saying that right now. I don't think this is going to happen. But if Line A scores 50, I will buy us one. I don't think it's going to happen. But if he does...
Is that your hot take for your own team? Because we're that'll be bold predictions. But is this not a bold prediction?
I think he's getting...
Is that ours?
I think he's getting mid-40s, but I don't think he's getting 50.
Interesting.
To me, with the Jets, there's a lot of reason for optimism. There's lots of players still growing, getting better, who are already very good. You know, Line, Morrissey, Ehlers, Scheifele, those guys are still getting better.
So you're saying 50 or more goals?
50. Even if he hits 50. Yeah, I'll buy it.
That's a treatza. Okay,
buy
I'm marking it in. 10
Okay.
treatza.
So let's move off the Jets now and let's go to the St. Louis Blues. Cam's favorite team. I'm just gonna go in a random order here, but let's do the Blues next.
Okay.
Because I don't know what this team's gonna be next year. Because there was until the playoffs, there's question marks about Jake Allen all of last season. They still don't have a number one center. They have the wingers to score at a high rate with Schwartz, Tarasenko and Steen still playing good hockey. They have a decent D-core. They're still missing Kevin Shattenkirk, which doesn't help.
Where did he go?
He's in New York now.
Rangers.
Yeah,
Right.
He's with the Rangers.
I'm not surprised by that. So, sorry, I ruined your train of thought.
No, that's kind of
I'm
all I
not
was saying.
nearly as high on St. Louis as I was like 2 or 3 years ago.
I don't think
2 or 3 years ago, I thought they had, a window of a couple of years where they were going to win, maybe win a Stanley Cup. Like that's how good to me, that's how good of a team they were. But I still feel like the last couple of years, I feel like I don't know. I mean,
didn't help that they signed Paul Stastny to a bad deal. Didn't help that they let Backus go.
I think the biggest problem, is they haven't necessarily gotten that much worse. I feel like all the other teams have gotten better, and they haven't.
Well, I mean, let's just name the losses that they took, like the subtractions. Elliott, Shattenkirk,
Backus,
Backus,
which was 2 years ago.
Oshie.
Yeah,
Those are huge guys. Those are cornerstone guys on pretty much any team they're on.
And the thing that still hurts is like they have $2.4 million to the cap, and their team isn't anything to write home about. Luckily, Paul Stastny's final year of that contract is this year. Never showed his worth, in my opinion, of the $7 million contract.
How did he get that?
Because it
Was
was
a
a dry summer for centers, and he was The other thing too was he was kind of sheltered behind. McKinnon was playing his rookie year, and Duchesne was coming off one of his playing well as well. That he was kind of sheltered, and they're like, oh, maybe he's still good. The one bright spot, and the one guy that I think could really help this team is a full year and the continuing progression of Colton Parayko. Because I think having a 1-2, your top defensive pairing being Pietrangelo and Parayko is pretty darn good.
PMP?
Their defense is good. Their forwards is what?
I'm not sold on their defense.
No?
Their top two were good,
It's not-
and then you have
it's not
Jay
bad.
Bouwmeester, who's only gotten older. Actually, I don't think Colton Parayko's a top. I think he's second line because he's right defenseman. So their top left D-man is Carl Gunnarsson, and then Joel Edmondson.
Yeah.
They have 5 right D on
And
their
then
lineup.
don't they have Bertuzzo?
Bertuzzo, but he's right D.
But guys, let's get real. Guy that's going to save the team, big free agent signing,
Brain Shen.
Chris Thorber.
Oh, I thought he was going to... He's not on
Braden
there.
Chen
yeah,
was a
he is.
trade.
900,000.
They signed him for 2 years, too.
But yeah, I don't see this team being able to... They are a lucky season. I think a lucky season for them gets them in the playoffs, but I think they need that year of not making the playoffs to hit them and really make some changes.
I've got them...
Okay, Dan, how many points? Are
I've
we
got
done
them
with
finishing-
the Blues? Oh, I didn't
will
get to
say-
say
Well,
what...
because this
I
segment
will
was about
say-
as boring as them watching.
I will say...
Yeah. You already know how I feel about the Blues. They're boring.
89 points, 5th in the division, no playoffs.
Okay,
That's what I think.
89 for Dan.
89.
What do you got, Cam?
84. 6th in the division. So
Sixth.
Dan and I are pretty good.
I've got him 5th. I've got him 5th.
Yeah.
Um,
I got him so low because, once again, I'm just... Every time. I've watched Dan. I've watched him. They've broken his heart. Every year in playoffs.
I stopped.
Every
I gave
year.
up.
And he finally joined the good side. He joined the good
You
side.
have to keep in mind, too, that first round series against Minnesota that they won in 5 games, they got outplayed in every game. I don't know
Jake
how...
Allen
It
won
was
them
like
that series.
I
the
don't know how
Winnipeg
they-
Anaheim
I don't know how
series
they-
where Minnesota's winning the game, then all of a sudden, or they're not winning the game, and it's like they have the puck the whole time. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Greg.
I think they're going to take a step back, but I don't have a lot of faith in that Pacific Division, so I'm going to give them that. They're going to finish 5th in the division, but potentially be in a wild card.
Okay.
I think that for them, they need to take a step back, but I'm going to put them as 91 points.
So no wild cards from the Pacific, eh?
What do I have? I have San Jose. It'll be between San Jose and St. Louis, I think, for that final wild card spot, because I think Anaheim, Edmonton, and Calgary are going to be the tops in the Pacific.
Fair enough.
Even though I didn't put Anaheim there last week, but in all reality, they should be there.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we move on to
Let's do Nashville.
Nashville. They got better.
I disagree.
Where did they get worse?
Let me pull up their roster.
Who did they lose?
So they lost James Neal for absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
And people just
Where
kind
did
of...
James Neal go?
Vegas.
What?
And people just kind
He
of
was
like
the guy that Vegas took.
Okay, here's the thing.
Oh,
Here's the
okay.
thing.
Sorry, guys.
They lost James Neal for nothing, and people were and the media was just kind of like, oh, whatever. That's not a whatever for nothing loss.
That's 30
a
goals.
big player for them.
Hey, guys,
Number two-
let's not forget
Hey.
that James Neal was traded away
Number
along
two-
with Matt Niskanen for Alex Goligoski.
Number two-
Who can't be that good.
They just lost their captain.
Mike Fisher.
He retired after 17 seasons.
They just lost their captain. They did sign Scott Hartnell. Big deal. They also traded away Colin Wilson for virtually nothing
That as well. You were
to
right.
Colorado. They did add Alexei Emlin on D, so their defense got probably better, which was already their strong
Who did they
point.
get from Colorado?
Nothing. They got like a third-round pick or something.
Yeah,
Oh, it
much.
wasn't a player?
It was a salary dump
Yeah.
so that they would have
But-
money to sign Ryan Johansson.
They did sign Nick Bonino. He does
Oh.
not. He does not replace James Neal. He might replace Mike Fisher,
He replaces Mike Fisher.
but not the leadership of Mike Fisher. So I have a hard time saying that they got better. They might.
Well, and I think
they-
losing the leadership of both James Neal and
I don't know if they're worse. They might be a little bit worse. They might be the same. They're not better. And you have to keep in mind too, they didn't have a very good regular season last year. Like they finished with what 94.
They were the worst team to make it
94
to the
points.
playoffs.
They barely got in the playoffs. They did put it together in the playoffs. They got a lot of contributions from depth guys who, like you tell me, Austin Watson's going to score 20 goals this year.
Austin Watson's going to score 20 goals.
Maybe he will, but they got a lot of depth contributions. I think they're going to be a good team.
hashtag jerseys for Fiala.
Yeah. I think they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I think they're definitely not better. Let's put it that way.
Okay, that's
They're
your
definitely not better. And Pecorine was exposed in that Stanley Cup final. I have never seen him play that bad. And I also did not realize that he's 35 years old. So
But
that,
they think UC Saros is going to be something.
that,
special, though.
that, yeah, but right away. Because if Rene stumbles, I think, let's put it this way. If Rene stumbles, Nashville stumbles.
I think they follow the same.
So I
line
have them
as the last 5 years.
So I have them finishing fourth, making the playoffs, wild card. We'll say 99 points.
That's yours?
Like I said,
Mark it in.
It's all going to be close. I
99.
think the Central's
Okay.
going to be close, but I have them
I
fourth.
I thought of something while you're talking there. Totally didn't realize. Okay, so Nashville, their captain retired, Mike Fisher. Ultimate face turn, heel turn, PK Subban captain. Now it's going to be Roman Yossi's my pick over a captain.
I think it'd be PK.
Ryan Johansson.
Johansson maybe because he got the big contract.
But Roman Yossi's been there
Commit
for
to your guy.
Or Ryan Ellis. That'd be
Commit to your guy.
fantastic.
Commit to your guy. Ryan Johansson. Show
Okay,
commitment.
Dan made excellent points.
I
guess I don't
Sorry,
necessarily.
I
I
to-
guess I don't think they necessarily. I still on deep. Their strength got stronger,
Yes.
but everywhere else, I guess, took a hit.
disagree.
Their
but that's up to you guys.
goaltending
Maybe
is the
not
same.
took it. I think goaltending. I don't think they took
I
that
think their
far.
forwards took a hit more than people think.
I think their forwards are. I think they let James Neal walk and expose him because they trust the young guys that they're
Well,
going to take steps forward.
and they're gonna have to.
Victor Arvidsson got the contract. Brian Johansson got the contract. Philip Forsberg already had a contract. I think they're ready to move forward with all these kids. How far away is Fiala from being better?
I think he'll be better.
He was
this
very
season.
good.
Oh.
He was.
So,
he'll be good
The
to go.
white jerseys for Nashville.
So
got
here's the thing.
unveiled. Did you see them?
No, I did not.
Awful.
Yeah, they took a step back in the jersey
That's
design.
Big time.
jersey department.
Big time.
-1 respect.
I'm not saying
Minus 1.
3 for respect.
I'm not
Nice.
saying that they're
Minus-
going to be a bad team this year, but people.
1 legacy.
A lot of what I've read, people think that they're the favorite in the Central, and I strongly disagree.
Oh,
Okay. Well, I'm not going to say my point total till Greg goes because
Okay.
I'm going to get.
So, I disagree with all of Dan's points, other than the fact that defensemen got better. I understand. No, I'm not trying to be
How did
mean.
they not get better?
I'm trying.
What do you
No,
mean?
like other than the defensemen
you agree
getting
with
it.
that?
I agree with that. Oh,
They
and
got
also,
worse. Okay.
I also-
don't like Evelyn.
No, I also agree with the Pecorine point. So there's the only thing that I really disagree with is the forwards. Scar Hartnell comes on, and I think he's still a serviceable 35-point player.
He's more serviceable than Cody McLeod. Way more serviceable.
Yes.
Yeah, but they have both.
But
Well, then you play both.
yeah, I think
Welcome
he,
to the fourth line, bitches.
I
They
think
didn't
he can
replace one
bring.
with the
I
other.
think he can bring a level of grit and tenacity that I think they were lacking in that series against Pittsburgh.
What about the gumption?
He lacks gumption.
Okay.
He needs the hair back to
Yeah.
get gumption.
Okay.
I think that it was very telling that they were okay with letting James Neal go and not Calle Jarnkrok. Yeah, Calle Jarnkrok. So clearly they believe in this kid. I think moving forward, I think is the right decision. They might have taken a step back for this season to move 2 steps forward. Take 1 step back for 2 steps forward. Because by doing what they did, they don't lose a guy like Calle Jarnkrok. They don't lose any other young guys like Victor Arvidsson. So they lose a guy on an older player, expiring contract. Didn't have a great year. He had 41 points last year in 70 games, which isn't terrible. But from a guy I'm paying $5 million, or $5.5, whatever James Neal was making, I want a little bit more. And I understand James Neal was hurt in the playoffs in that final series, but he was invisible. Calle Jarnkrok was not. I believe in this team. I don't think they're going to be the division winners, but I believe that they'll be second place. I think that decoy will carry them, but this team will only go as far as Pecorine will take them. But I think that'll get exposed once the playoffs come. I could see them finishing second, even first in the Central, and being out in 5 games in the first round to the Jets or to a team like San Jose or St. Louis.
Basically because they had been playing their playoff hockey level since February to make it to the playoffs, is what you're saying. And
Not necessarily. I think it's going to hinder on which Pecorine shows up. Is it the Pecorine that played 3 amazing rounds last year and should have won the Conn Smythe? Or is it going to be the Pecorine that played in the Stanley Cup final that looked like he didn't belong in the NHL?
And one of my arguments, too, is if you watch their playoff run, they literally scrapped. What did they play? Maybe they played what? How many games did they play in the playoffs?
Well, they
20...
swept Chicago.
Yeah.
Played 6 games. Oh, and I think that Nick
So
Bonino is
10.
an upgrade from Mike Fisher.
100%.
Played 6 games against Pittsburgh.
10.
They played 7 against Anaheim.
17.
So they played 23 games?
Yeah, something like that.
They
Yeah.
scrapped a lot of those out, and they got contributions from everybody over 23 games. To do that over 82.
But that's what good teams are.
Oh, yeah.
They
No, that's
get
for sure.
everybody involved, and that's one of the biggest things that teams that are successful do. Think about teams who've won Stanley Cups. Like, your third and fourth lines need to contribute every night, but they need to contribute on a consistent basis. Whereas teams that don't make the playoffs, they're not getting those equal contributions from every line. I hate bringing them up. Actually, I love bringing them up, but I know people hate me talking about them. But if you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs last year, they had 3 separate lines that all had a distinguished scorer on them. You either had Mitch Marner, who had 60 points on your first line, or you had Matthews and Nylander, who both had 60 points on the second line, or you had Nazem Kadri, who had 30 goals, or Connor Brown, who had 20. And that's how they distinguish their lines. So you had scoring from all different areas, and that allows you to be more successful. One of the biggest things that killed them, especially in the finals for Nashville, was the fact that that depth was gone. You were missing Mike Fisher for a few of those games because he was hurt. You're missing Ryan Johansson. If they can be healthy, I think they can still be successful next season.
Okay, so are we moving forward with our
What's your
predictions?
point, though? You never gave
Wait,
it.
what did you say?
I said 99, 4th in the Central wildcard.
Greg?
103.
107.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
Yep.
Okay, well, we might as well go to the team that's going to finish first,
Go.
the Colorado Avalanche.
Goddamn right.
Do we even have to talk about them?
Yeah, I have
Yeah, we
Colorado at 117.
Good.
So,
I'm glad.
mark it down, please.
Yeah,
No,
when
I'm
they-
serious.
Just kidding, it's 138.
I'm actually serious. Do we have to talk about them?
Yes.
Yes.
They are part of the preview.
They are part of the division. Don't be so rude.
Okay.
You have to find things that... Find the love, Dan. Find it. Where is the love?
Colorado's going to take a step forward. My bold...
Well, I hope so.
We
My-
can't really go backwards.
Well, you
my-
could. I don't want to see it.
I kind of do.
Go, Greg.
My bold treats of pizza prediction.
Oh, my God. Greg, you're owing a lot of stuff.
My
I'm just
bold
saying.
treats of pizza prediction means I will buy it if this happens, is Matt Duchene gets traded at some point this season.
That's not really that
Dan,
bold.
we're getting
It's-
the truth of pizza.
I was going to
bold.
say, okay, I accept.
Because if he doesn't, I'll be happy. And if he does, then I'll be happy because I got to eat a treats of pizza.
Can you tell me how they're going to take a step forward when they have 3 defensemen signed right now?
They don't need defensemen.
They have 3.
They need more centers.
3.
They'll figure something out.
Sorry,
But
they-
it has to be,
they have-
I'll make a stipulation. It has to be after the season starts. So if he gets traded in the offseason, doesn't count. It has to be once
Yeah,
the
I'll
season
make the...
starts.
I'm writing her in.
Okay. I'll just give, Colorado,
Wait.
realistically...
Does Colorado have to play a game, or can the season have played? They didn't play a game.
Yes.
Yes, sweet.
Okay, so
I gotta cover all my bases. Greg will sure get out of it.
He'll
We
be
gotta
scratched
careful.
from the opening night lineup and traded right before the puck drop.
I think in all reality, this team getting Semyon Varlamov back gives them at least a few more wins. I think
Was he hurt a lot last year?
he was hurt for. pretty
Forgive
much
me
the
if
whole
I
season.
didn't follow their team last year.
I think he missed 60 games last year.
Wait.
And they did also get Jonathan Bernier as a backup.
If you
so.
did follow Colorado, can you write us a paragraph, like email it to us, lastmanandpc@gmail.com. Write us a paragraph about how it felt to be a Colorado fan last year. Please. I would enjoy that. And I'll read it.
Just so...
Basically, there's no way that...
Varlamov played 24 games last year and
They
had
finished
a
at 48 points?
898 save percentage, which is the worst of his career. So clearly that's not going to happen again. Because all of his seasons that he's had, he had one bad year with Colorado where he had a 903, another injury-plagued season, 2012, 2013, where he only played 35 games. But every single season he's played 50 or more games for the Colorado Avalanche. His lowest save percentage was 913, with a 281 save percentage, or 281 goals against average, which was his highest.
Well, now they also have a goalie who can play a significant amount of time behind
And Jonathan
him.
Bernier.
Exactly. Not that Calvin Pickard couldn't. I just don't know why they didn't trust him at all. He's pretty good.
I think
liked
he's
it.
a better option than either of the guys they have right now.
Well, I still think Varlamov was a decent player.
I
at
would've-
29 years old.
I think
I would have
I think
exposed
Varlamov's
him.
okay.
No, I would have done the exact same thing Colorado did.
You would have let Picard go?
Yeah. Varlamov's on contract, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Like, personally.
Here's the thing. I think he's a solid goaltender, but I think he's proven that year that they made the playoffs, won the Central, he can't play that well. He can't.
He had a 927 that year with a 241. The thing
But
about
he
that, too,
just
though,
can't.
was the fact that they had an unsustainable statistical year, just the same way that Calgary did a couple years ago. And Colorado never really learned from that. I think that they need to make a few changes there, but I have Colorado with 72 points this year.
Holy crap.
Okay, I'm...
24-point jump?
Hey, things can happen.
What have they done? Nothing.
3
They've
defensemen.
learned, Dan. A year of
Less
learning.
defenseman equals more wins. I like it.
There's
year
no
of
way.
learning.
There's no way that that's what they did last year is going to happen.
No,
again.
but they're not going to be that much better.
They're going to be better than
on.
Vancouver and Vegas.
Dan, how many points do you got him at?
60. Dead last in the Central. Second last in the conference.
To Vegas.
First off,
Vegas is going to be dead last.
I already have an outstanding...
Oh, you know what? I think Vancouver and Colorado can fight for that second last spot.
I have a Treats a Pizza deal right now because the top scorer in Colorado had how many points? 53 last year. I have 54 points. I think it'll be
Anybody?
Nate McKinnon. No, I said
fair.
Nate McKinnon, but
That's
it could be anybody. I'm okay with that. I am with Greg. I think they're going to make quite the jump. I got him at 70 points. Dead last,
Dead
but
last.
70 points.
Oh, fair enough. You guys are much more optimistic than I am.
Who do you got? Because it finished with 48. How many points did you
I
get?
said 60.
You said
60.
Dead last.
Okay.
That 60 is a 12-point jump. That's six more
Six
wins.
wins.
They won 22 games
That's
last
still
year.
dead last in the NHL.
They're
is it not?
going to win.
No, I said
Mark my words.
I picked Vegas to finish.
This is not a treats
think.
and pizza bet.
No, this is
I
just
think
you.
I picked Vegas to finish.
They'll
worse.
win 30 games this year.
I hope so.
That's not
I think
saying much, but okay.
I think they'll go
Okay.
30, 40, and 12. That's my prediction.
Okay.
I like even numbers. I'm a fan of that. Who do we got left?
You got the good old Chicago Blackhawks next.
Ooh, fun.
The Marion Hossa-less Chicago Blackhawks.
Still only
The
have
Chicago
5 defensemen
Blackhawks who
signed.
continue to win the Central Division. The Chicago Blackhawks that are right up against the cap. The Chicago Blackhawks that defy all odds.
The Chicago Blackhawks, since we're going to continue this trend, the Chicago Blackhawks that traded away one of the most exciting players, I think, in the NHL. Honestly.
Artemi Panarin.
Artemi Panarin, the bread man, for Brandon Saad because, and I quote, or allegedly, we missed playing with him. What? You missed playing with Brandon Saad. So you traded away one of your best players for a guy who, sure, he contributed kind of, but not as much as the bread man did.
They lost
Oh, keep naming the losses.
Nick Chalmerson. They lost Trevor Van Riemsdyk. I think their defense is terrible right now.
They have an
Didn't they
aging
sign
Brent
Oduya?
Seabrook.
They have 5 guys signed right now.
They have an aging Brent Seabrook and an aging
Yeah.
Duncan Keith.
Connor Murphy, who still hasn't really proven much. I think he could. Michael Kempney, who relatively unknown, and Michael Roosevelt. That's
Who's
their
old.
decor right now. They have 5 guys.
Burgers and fries.
Don't they
Delicious.
have
Five Guys burgers and fries.
hold on. They got that one defenseman in the trade from Calgary a couple years ago that's been in the AHL. He's been tearing it up. What is his name?
Oh, you mean TJ Brody?
No.
goes to
Yusuf
Calgary.
Valimaki, maybe?
Oh.
Is that his name? Check it out. I want to know this kid's name.
I
can call him
Rockford
the kid-
Ice Hogs?
Yes,
Is that-
definitely.
I
He
think-
would have been there. He was their all-star representative. He's good.
I think not having Panarin's going to hurt them a lot more than people think.
Oh yeah.
Sod's a good player, but I don't know.
Hey, what would you rather have in your
I don't
kitchen in your fridge? A roll of sod or a pack of bread?
I'd rather have some paninis.
Would you
Fresh hot paninis.
would you not rather have I think
And I'm
I
sorry.
think bread's better than sod.
Do you want to have a nice yard or
I think
a
people
full
are kind
stomach?
of caught in
You
like.
tell me.
full stomach.
I think people are kind of caught in the nostalgia. Oh, they brought Sod back. Oh, they brought Patrick Sharp back. Sorry, bring Patrick Sharp back to me. That does nothing for me right now.
Ville Polka?
Billy Polka, dude, he's in it.
30 points last year
But-
in 76 games.
They weren't a great
Bringing
team either.
Patrick Sharp back to me, like, what's that going to do? What does that do?
Boost morale.
To me, yeah, but
Does morale mean nothing to you, Dan?
I think they're going to take a big step backwards this year. Like, big.
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, point prediction.
Dan, go.
You know what?
I think we're all on the same page. I want to hear what Greg
I've
has
got
to say
them.
if he hasn't
Okay,
already. But
I scratch it. St. Louis is going to have 89 points, but they're not finishing 5th. They're going to finish 6th. Chicago is going to finish 5th, not make the playoffs. I'll give them 90 points.
What do you got there, Cam?
Chicago, third, 99 points. It's Chicago. I can't doubt them
No.
any. They're
That's
the
right now.
Conor
The time's
McGregor
right
to
now.
UFC and Dana White. I've learned to not doubt them,
No.
and I'm sticking with it.
No.
There's no way. There's no way they miss playoffs. It's Chicago. They pull it out of their ass every year,
And
they
get
will
swept in the
continue
first
to do.
round?
They still do it though.
No.
They're taking a spot away.
No, this is the year they go backward.
99.
They scored 2 goals in the first round last year.
Against an unbelievable Pecorino for the first 3 rounds.
Or they scored 1 goal last year, 2 goals.
They scored 2.
Yeah.
None at home.
I'm just.
That
Their playoff slogan was 1 goal. 1 goal.
Okay,
I just.
Greg?
I think they're taking a step back.
I'm going to rapid fire here. I'm going with Chicago with 85 points.
No playoffs.
No playoffs.
Wow, I'm
So
the
they're
only
finishing
Chicago
sixth.
hype
I
train?
still don't believe in their goaltending. So I think he's serviceable. I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks he is. And I just don't believe in that.
If he gets hurt too, there's no Scott Darling.
Well, if he gets hurt, if he has a bad game, if really anything negative happens, I don't think that team is going to recover. Like,
How is their decor
If-
good enough to get them in the playoffs?
if Brent Seabrook gets hurt, that hurt, like one player. The fact that one player, it doesn't matter who it is, if one of their top 4 guys is hurt, there's nobody else that can pick up the slack. There's nobody else in the Central other than the Colorado Avalanche in my mind, and maybe the St. Louis Blues, that you could say you lose one of their top 2 D or one of their top 2 forwards, that they're in peril. If Taves or Kane goes down, they're in peril. If Keith or Seabrook goes down, they're in peril. Same thing you could say, I guess, if Parayko or Pietrangelo goes down, or Tarasenko or Shorts goes down. Can't say that about the Jets. Can't say that
Sure, you
about...
can say that about the Jets.
No, if...
Scheifele line. You're naming their 2 best players.
I know.
Scheifele line will go down. They're in peril.
No,
they
they're
lose
not.
a significant amount.
They
of points.
lose that, but they still have the depth behind it to recover it, where you still have guys like Brian Little and Blake Wheeler that can still score points.
Matty Perreault, Nicky.
And if you lose Chuba or Morrissey, you still have Dustin Buffalo and
They
Dimitri
still have these
Kulikov
guys.
and
They have
Tyler-
Ryan Hartman. They have Alex DeBrincat. Like they have kids to plug in and do.
So-
things.
I'm not saying kids. I'm saying
you're going to compare
guys,
Ryan Hartman to Blake Wheeler.
Well, I'm going to say he
bonafide,
can.
80
bonafide-
points.
What I mean though is
80 point
bonafide.
player.
I'm not
He
doing
was-
a direct comparison. You
I'm
guys are
just-
naming their 2 best players
No.
on D
The
and
thing
on
is,
forward and saying
here's the
if they
thing.
go down,
Yes.
it's
what,
over.
What Greg's saying is if you take away the 2 top forwards of Chicago, what's left?
No, not 2 top forwards. I'm
One.
saying one of them is gone. The depth underneath
The depth
it
is not
isn't good enough
to keep them to make the playoffs.
to
is
keep
what
them
I'm saying.
afloat.
It's
Whereas
not
if Liner and Scheifele goes down, I believe in the depth of the Winnipeg Jets to still compete. I don't believe that because after Taves, who's your next center? If Kane's not playing center.
Anisimov is a center / wing. Lance Boma.
Like, I just don't believe in the depth that Chicago has to bring them back up to... Because if Panarin was there, or Hossa was there, I would still have trust in this team. I would. Because Hossa's an aging wonder. He's fantastic. I guarantee you, if Jaromir Jagr wasn't as expensive as he was, like, I bet he's asking $2-3 million right now. If he was more like $600,000-$700,000, Chicago would be knocking on the door. And they'd be phoning him.
And
but they what they need to do, if Chicago to get out of what they're in, they need to phone up a team with a young defenseman on a very small contract, who also has a very young forward, and say, we'll trade you Brent Seabrook for that, and we'll retain on Brent Seabrook. It's the only way they're going to get out of this cap hold, because Brent Seabrook's contract is hurting them right now, as much as it is.
My argument, they couldn't score in the playoffs last year. Their defense is not good enough to keep them in games right now. They lost... I'm not saying necessarily the level of these players.
Two top four guys.
They lost Johnny Oduya, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, and Nicholas Charmelson, and they haven't replaced them with anything. So, sorry, Connor Murphy they've replaced. But they lost 3 guys. How is their defense good enough to keep them in games if they can't score? That's my argument.
Yeah. Okay.
I still believe in the voodoo of Chicago.
Fair enough.
It could happen.
Minnesota. I'll go to you because you like certain players on that team.
I didn't pay much attention to their offseason, so I don't know necessarily.
They signed Niederreiter and Granlund.
They also
Did they sign Granlund? Did they sign Dumba?
Dumba's there, yeah.
And they still have...
they traded... who did they trade? The Buffalo.
You guys, can I make a switch in my decision?
Yeah, go. I don't care.
I'm going to switch out my decision, Chicago and Minnesota. I had Chicago at 99. I'm going to put Minnesota at 99, Chicago at 89.
I'll make the statement.
Out of playoffs. I'm putting Minnesota in the playoffs.
We convinced them.
I'll make the statement right now that Minnesota might have one of the nicest jerseys in the NHL with their remodel. I really like
green?
the jerseys. Ooh, yeah.
Beautiful.
They signed Tyler Ennis?
Yes.
They traded.
Oh, right, Buffalo.
They traded Pominville for
that's
Ennis
right.
and
Pominville,
Grailbeck?
and who was the defenseman they traded?
I don't remember.
Well, I'm sure we could just type in and find.
But they also
do you have their
they
roster
also
up?
got Marcus Foligno, who I think is a underrated player.
They signed, but Minnesota signed.
Let me go see here. Buffalo. Who was the defenseman? It wasn't Spurgeon. It wasn't Brodin, was it? It was Scandella.
Scandella, that's who it was, yeah.
I think Minnesota's a really good team. I do.
I'm going to be intrigued to see how they play this year, just because they're a win by committee type team. They don't have one guy that's going to score the lights out. They don't have a Vladimir Tarasenko or a Patrick Kane. We win and lose as a team every single game.
But they're kind of a Nashville mentality where they have a lot of guys who can put up 50, 60 points.
Exactly, and that's what you need. Even guys like you've got guys who can score 40 to 45. Like you can, it's almost like every line has a guy that can score late in a game. How many times has Charlie Coyle ruined hockey games for teams? It happens. He only scores probably 13, 14 goals a year. He might score more.
But 6 of them are huge.
Yeah.
One of the best contracts that was signed last year, Eric Stahl, for 3.5.
Yeah,
that was
huge.
fantastic.
Yeah.
For what he did for them.
I still think I am intrigued to see what Luke Kunin does if he plays on that team this year, as well as Joel Eriksson. I think that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
I have Minnesota at 100 points for this year.
I've got them 105 second in the Central.
I have Minnesota 99, and I swapped out Chicago and Minnesota. I originally had Minnesota at 89, so Chicago's at 89.
Chicago's at 89.
So Minnesota's in the playoffs.
Minnesota's...
What made you change Chicago by 10 points?
We sold them, I think.
I think you sold me, first off, because I didn't realize I didn't pay much attention to how many D just left. When Dan was naming them off, I was like, oh, that is a lot.
And they
of D
didn't replace
lost.
them.
They didn't replace them, and I mean, I love the Waterbug ad of Tyler Ennis to Minnesota, because I mean, they lost Spurgeon, right?
And Granlund and Niederreiter are guys
No,
now.
they lost
that,
Scandella.
They lost Scandella, so now you can have Spurgeon and Ennis, and that brings like the entire everyone on the ice. The average down by like 4
And to
inches.
me, guys like Niederreiter and Granlund are guys. They're 50, 60 point players now. They weren't 2 years ago, but they are now.
And they both have nice deals. Last team in the Central, Dallas. Most improved.
They fixed everything. They needed a goalie. When I got Ben Bishop, don't like how much they're playing the goalies, but they got a clear cut number one. There's no way he's not number one.
Yeah.
Pending injuries, Ben Bishop. Then they were like, you know what, Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn. Not that you guys aren't amazing. I want even more offensive ability. Alexander Radulov, kind of a big contract, but you know what? If they want a cup and they want wins and production, he's the guy to do it. The best available at the time. And then who else? They brought someone in on D, I think, didn't they?
Mark Method.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Very
that's
solid.
a fantastic
And you have
steady
to-
Eddie defense.
And you have to keep in mind too that they
Player
had
John Klingberg.
they had a down year last year, but the year before they won the Western Conference.
Yeah.
And their team's not that different. I agree. I think they've gotten better. They signed Martin Hansel. They signed Alex Radulov. I think they're going to win the division this year.
Yeah. I think I'm with
I think
Dan.
another year with Radek as well.
And the big thing, Hitchcock coaching. I think that's going to make a big
Yeah.
difference.
Huge.
I think there's a lot of
And they finally got a goalie.
underrated depth on this team as well. Guys that you don't hear about. Brett Ritchie's out there that are going to contribute. I am intrigued to see how this team plays this year. I think they've made the right moves. I'm still not sold on their defense, but it'll be interesting to see how they play this year because it could work out in their favor and things could go in the right direction. And if that happens, they could be scary come playoff time. If their D actually can prove themselves, because they could be good. They could be really good.
I think
Not paying Ben Bishop over $5 million is also pretty nice.
Their biggest problem the last few years, their defense wasn't great, but their goaltending really was average. And I think they fixed that. I mean, if they get an injury though, that obviously changes everything. But
that's for honestly
think
any team. If you get an
any
injury
team.
to your starting goalie,
Starting goalie is the worst. Worst position.
If Steve Mason goes down, the Jets are right back where they were last year.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to win the division.
if Brian Elliott goes down, it's almost like
Yeah.
Newverth isn't good at dealing with a goalie that gets injured all the time. Oh wait, he already is.
So I will say 110 points first in the division.
Just for a way bar, a bar for their goaltending to be better than last year. Niemi finished the year in 37 games played with a .892 save percentage and a .330 goals against average. Okay. Then Kari Lehtinen in 59 games last year had a .285 and a .902, which is both league average is around .914, .915 is kind of what you want.
Their best goalie had .902.
And you want probably about a .260 save percentage.
So their goalies on average were 10% worse than any other goalie in the league.
Yeah, just to compare to Carey Price, he had a .223 and .923 last year. Just to compare.
Hot damn.
Yeah.
And that's with he went on almost a month-long skid of terrible playing. And that's still, if I'm thinking of the right year. Last year he went on a bad skid, right? For a little while. Where Montreal wasn't scoring, they weren't doing anything.
And just for a bar to be set even lower for this team. Cal Picard, the goaltender on the worst team last year, who had 50 games. He had .298 goals against average and a .904. His save percentage was better
Than both goalies.
than both goalies. Yeah, and if you combine the goals against average of the two goalies, his was better.
Greg said, your Dan said 110. Greg, what do you got?
109.
Okay, so they're winning the division?
They're winning the division.
All right.
What do you have?
In mine, not only are they winning the division, they're winning the President's Trophy. 117 points.
Ooh.
Confident.
is
President Trophy winners. They fixed everything. Everything I would have liked for them to do in a perfect world, they went out and did it. Goalie. More scoring.
Yep.
Another defenseman. Fantastic. I love it. I love
right,
what they did.
I agree with Greg.
Very impressive.
I think their D could be a bit better, but it's definitely improved.
Okay, so for measuring bar, Dan, Dallas in first, Minnesota in second, Winnipeg in third, Nashville in fourth, Chicago in fifth, St. Louis in sixth, Colorado in seventh. Cam, Dallas in first, Nashville in second, Minnesota in third, Winnipeg in fourth, Chicago in fifth, St. Louis in sixth, Colorado in seventh. Me, Dallas in first, Nashville in second, Minnesota in third, Winnipeg in fourth, St. Louis in fifth, Chicago in sixth, Colorado in seventh.
So we all consensus Dallas,
Top four.
Dallas, Minnesota, Nashville, Winnipeg are making playoffs.
Well, they're top four.
Top four.
Yeah,
Top
but
four.
we all agree. We think all four of those teams
Yeah,
will make a playoff.
are going to make playoffs. Yeah.
If Colorado
If
makes
ever there was a
playoffs,
year
then-
where it's set up for the Central to be a big shift, it's this year.
Yeah. Okay, quick recap of the World Junior Showcase.
Yep,
So
USA.
is it 4 teams?
4 teams: USA, Canada, Sweden, Finland. They play each other once. It's not really like you don't win anything. You just play each other. Basically, this was made.
It's for scouts.
Yeah, it was made 2 years ago because the USA, they have in Plymouth, Michigan, they have the USA National Development Team program. That's where they're based out of. Basically, all the 4 countries were holding their own development camps and saying like, hey, like, we're having competitive games and we're having our players play against each other and they can get hurt. And there has been injuries in these before.
Yeah.
So they're like, you know what? At least if we're going to injure someone, let's make it your guy, not our guy.
Yeah.
And so they all got together and they just have like fun games together for like they have split inter-squad games. Like Canada and US have inter-squad games. And then the tournament starts. USA went 3-0 in the tournament. Canada, I forget what they went. I think they 2-1 because they lost to US.
Yeah.
I'm just going to name a couple players in the US that stood out to me and Canada. Because not that I didn't pay attention to the other teams, but of the guys that were paying attention, like Christian Vesalainen, Virtanen, and Dylan Sandberg, or the 2 Finns, I didn't see them play. Like every game any chance I got to watch a Finn play, they weren't playing in the game that I was watching, which was actually only the 1 game. Yep. Anyways, USA, Adam Fox, a defenseman, and Casey Mittelstadt. They both had 3 goals, 6 assists each. Casey drafted by Buffalo, going to Minnesota, Golden Gophers. Adam Fox, I believe he's going to Boston University, and he is I forget who he's drafted by. The other guy who stood out for me is Brady Tkachuk. Like, it's his other son.
Other son, yeah.
It's like watching Matt play again. It's fantastic. It's like when they're on the ice, everyone else has like a sunburn. They're just uncomfortable, like around him. They know he's there and they don't like him. So he really stood out. And for Canada, 4 players, I guess, off the top of my head. Obviously, Logan Stanley stood out, not because of his skill, but because he was literally 1.5 wider than everyone, and he was taller than everyone. And it didn't help that they paired him with Cale Clegg, 5'10", allegedly, out of Brandon, who's maybe 180 pounds soaking wet. He's not a big kid, drafted by the Kings. But anyways, Logan Stanley looked decent. Jordan Kyrou, playing for the Sarnia Sting. So fast. Ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Sam Steele, he just blew me out of the water. Like, I knew he was good. But drafted by Anaheim, 30th overall. Last draft, not this draft. He looked fantastic. And then Nick Suzuki, one of the 3 draft picks by the Vegas Golden Knights.
Actually, Yamamoto looked good, too.
And Tyler Yamamoto for...
USA.
Who did he get drafted by? I forget. Because I know he plays for Spokane Chiefs. Because... people compare him to Tyler Johnson, which is funny because him and Tyler Johnson trained together in the offseason. But this tournament was really nice, just as a let's get back into hockey kind of / training camps right around the corner. It's fun to watch.
Drafted.
Edmonton, right. I remember that. Okay. Well, my mistake, but thank you. Drafted by Edmonton. Yeah, they need more speedster scores. Why not? But did you guys catch any of this?
Yes.
Yeah? You did?
No, I watched bits and pieces of all 3 games.
And what'd you think?
Very much enjoyed it. Sam Steele to me. Definitely, he looked good. You notice Logan Stanley was on the ice. I think goaltending is going to be another issue again for us. We really haven't had solid goaltending in the World Juniors in quite a few years. I'd say probably since 2008.
Which is Carey Price?
Yeah, which is Carey Price's year. They haven't had that kind of like going up to that. I thought they were very good in net. Having Justin Pogge 1 year. I think Steve Mason was the next year.
Jeff Glass, one of the years prior.
I could have played in front of that team.
Greg?
I could have played.
Still had to play.
You're right.
And do you remember that one year that I don't know who's in net for this year where Tavares, it was in Ottawa, they played Kazakhstan, beat them 16-0. Kazakhstan had 11 shots.
Yeah, I do remember.
11 shots.
Yeah.
They could have won the game without a goalie.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Last note, quickly, Canada and Russia played in a pre-tournament game, and there was a line brawl. Apparently, it all started when Eric O'Dell, former Jet, dropped a Russian player who's heading off the ice for a line change. The line brawl saw several players shed their gloves, including Justin Azvedo and Mikhail Grigorenko, who are both tagged with fighting majors for their involvement in the dust-up, as the Hockey News writes. Apparently, Canada did lose the game. Igor Shestorkins, 34 saves, hung on for the win. It looked like Russia had 4 goals that game. Kevin Poulin stopped 19 of 22 shots. However, they did beat HC Sochi in a 1-0 victory after former Leaf Jesse Blacker scored the overtime goal. So, yeah.
Now, okay, actually, I won't ask this question, but
And Justin Peters got
Yo,
that
so
shutout save.
this
shutout win.
team, if they go forward with the Olympics, this will be the least viewed Olympics in a while, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
What? I totally blanked on what I was just going to say about Canada. It's not
sad.
gonna-
It's
It
disappointing.
is sad. Yeah, that's really disappointing. Like, I know...
Brings
okay,
more weight behind.
I'm not backing off my guns from what I said last year on the podcast, which is I'm with Bettman in terms of it's the only league that shuts down and they lose money. But I'm coming more around to what you guys had mentioned of, yes, they close down, but to close down, it's to grow the game by showing it in, like, South Korea, and then the next Olympics are in China. Huge markets, untapped markets, really. Well, tapped now because of the KHL, I guess, with their Goon Squad team, where that guy skates around and just cold clocks people, which is fantastic.
That guy just does not.
That's how you market hockey to anybody.
Yeah,
Cold clocking. Boom.
yeah, that's hockey right there.
That's if Brock Lesnar was a hockey player. That's what he would do.
Now Roman Reigns, come on now, Superman punch.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm what I don't understand, and I understand. Okay, I understand it, but don't understand it, is why Hockey Canada hasn't been like. Okay, so we're playing from a disadvantage here, but why don't we just suck it up, and do the old? We'll send our World Junior team. I know you're playing against men, but they're gonna fare just fine. We would have a better chance sending the World Junior team than the team that they're gonna send.
Or like a World Junior NCAA like Super Squad team, you mean? Like the best of the best?
Best of the best players who were not playing in the NHL. I don't care where they're playing. It's 2 weeks. You can stop. You don't need to play junior for 2 weeks.
3 weeks, technically, with travel and all
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
But no, on technicalities, are they allowed to do that, or is that against the rules?
It's not against the rules. What rules are they breaking?
Well, juniors, they would have the attachment to most of the best juniors are signed to NHL entry-level contracts, which would make them ineligible. And that's where see, when you said that...
That's so stupid. Like,
Yeah.
they don't even play in the NHL. They're just...
they're
they're
attached
NHL
to-
products. I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying.
It's a shame that the teams didn't think about this ahead of time.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then really, okay, we'll use
But in all
their
reality-
Jets. Do they have any a prospect
Okay, but
out there right now?
let's just put this in hypothetically. Here's the other issue. Okay? Let's say 2 years ago. This is the situation. Patrick Laine is playing Finland and he goes to a pre-tournament game for World Juniors. So this is after a year ago, we'll say. After
They
the Jets-
drafted him, but
they
not
drafted
signed.
Him. They drafted him. He hasn't played a game yet for the team. Goes to the pre-tournament game, gets hurt, year over. Are the Jets blaming that pre-tournament game, or are they just saying it happens? Because at any point a guy can get hurt. Are they gonna are the Bruins, or let's say Yamamoto gets hurt in the World Juniors this year? Are the Oilers gonna blame the World Juniors? No, not even the
They
World
shouldn't.
Juniors. Gets injured in just a regular season game. Are they gonna blame the regular season game that he got hurt and missed an entire season and now his development's a little bit off? No, shit happens. Maybe the NHL needs to get its foot out of its own ass and decide to make a decision that's going to help grow hockey. Because right now, you're losing out to the MLS, who's going to surpass you if they have not already. And you're going to become a dying sport, and you're going to suffocate yourself. Eventually, this league is going to regress. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where they're going to have to pull teams away. There's going to be a surplus of talent that's going to go to other places like Europe and the KHL. Because there's just not enough of a market, because we have a commissioner that'd rather have 4 lockouts under his belt than trying to fix the issue of growing this game. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to. And I understand the owners are part of the problem. The owners are the ones saying, no, it's fine, we continue to like this guy, we'll keep paying him, when he has done nothing but hurt the growth of the game. Because what they've done is every time they've had a lockout, sure, it helps their pockets for a few years, but they've set the game back another 10. Mm-hmm. You're losing viewers every year. The older generation can't watch hockey anymore because it's not what they used to watch. The younger generation has a harder time getting into it because it's not that interesting when there's other sports like football and basketball that are gaining by the millions every time. The NBA is something that I find absurdly boring. However, gets more new Canadian fans than any other sport. Because when people come here from places like India and Syria and Pakistan and Afghanistan, they don't have a huge opening to basketball over there either. So just saying, well, it's not accessible over there. Neither is basketball. It's not like there's an Afghanistan national basketball team. I'm sure there is, but it's not like they're ranked up there where Canada's is. Basketball is growing because it's got excitement surrounding by it, because it's got a commissioner that cares about the league, that's trying to grow the league, that says, oh, we have a racist owner, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, the owner of the Clippers.
Sterling.
Donald Sterling.
Yeah. So you have, and baseball is continuing to grow. They really haven't done anything too much to change it, but when you have more and more fans saying, I'm not watching anymore because it's too boring, because it's not exciting anymore, it's not enjoyable to watch, I can't stand the announcers, whatever it might be, that's on Bettman. That's on his inability to make hockey accessible for people. And it's time for him, or it's time for somebody to start realizing that he's made hockey more inaccessible than ever. Mm-hmm. With the decisions he's starting to make. And this decision to not go to the Olympics is making it even more inaccessible. And it's going to hurt the NHL, it's going to hurt hockey, and it's going to hurt Canada. Because hockey's all Canada has.
We have Toronto. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
I just want to say before we did have a comment from last week from Roni Bergstrom. I'm sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. Okay. Sorry, Greg. I hope I spelled it right. You did. But your point about players leaving to play in shittier leagues for more money only applies to the other three major sports in North America. Because in the football/soccer world, so soccer, we have lost some pretty good and even young stars who have went to play in China for ridiculous money. They even tried to sign Ronaldo and offered him over $100 million a year in salary.
So is that, I guess I referenced something in soccer, how some players are coming over to the U.S., but yeah, no, it's true. But what I meant by that is, so you have Ronaldo making $100 million, like in China, got offered $100 million. Are you KHL? Why wouldn't they offer Sidney Crosby that kind of money?
Well, let's use Mikhail Grigorenko. You just talked about
it.
Mikhail Grigorenko went to the KHL. I think he's getting paid like $5 to $10 million, somewhere in that range. I could be completely wrong, but
no,
the numbers in KHL, they don't have a cap friendly for KHL because it's, hey, here's that suitcase. Nice suitcase, Greg. What's in it? $10,000 for my shift I just played.
Yeah.
Where's the rest of it? Nowhere you need to know. Greg opens an empty room full of backpacks full of money.
Yeah.
But
no, they get paid in backpacks.
Apparently.
They get 10 backpacks a game. There's an assortment amount of money in each backpack.
Yeah. Oh, it's
they have to count themselves.
They get to pick.
So, if you scored that day, you get first pick of backpacks. And they give you, each player before a game starts, they have to pick this, random card. And on that card tells them how many backpacks they're allowed to take.
Mm. And some backpacks are filled and they look really packed.
Exactly.
But turns out they're just plastic
paper.
bags. Yeah.
So the other thing, too, is, you get 2, and they're like, okay, so you have 2 on your card, you scored tonight, you get first pick. Brandon Cozen, you get first pick. Brandon Cozen goes in, he picks 2 bags up. $9 million in those 2 bags.
Done.
He got $9 million that game.
He just got Roni's salary.
No one needs to know. Cap Friendly can't keep a hold of it.
No.
I have my new Genius website idea, it might already be made. I don't know.
Do you want to say it now? It's going to go on the internet.
I want to say it.
Okay.
Because if someone's interested to help me, I'm trying to find this, is a player tracker.
Oh, as in where they've gone and where they've been?
Something, yeah. So let's say for instance you have a player like Tyler Ennis, and you're or let's say for instance it's Minnesota, and you just click on Minnesota Wild. Each player on their roster, it should say how they got that player, and for what they got that player for. So let's say it's Tyler Ennis. Okay, so this was the trade involved these players. And then you could click on Tyler Ennis to figure out his transaction history. Or you go and you say, okay, let's look at Jason Pominville's career. You have his entire history of where he got traded, the deals he signed.
When he got drafted and from the
exactly.
draft.
Essentially.
The moment he got drafted.
So it's it would combine things from like HockeyDB to general research, where you take each player that plays, you find out when they got drafted, you find out who they played for, what they were traded for, what they've signed for, all those different things. Because, to be honest, trying to go and look at 7 teams and saying, okay, Dallas, what players did they get this year? Because wouldn't it be nice if there was just a website where you could click and it's like, okay, Dallas, they picked up Alex Radulov. They signed him for this money. His former team was Montreal. They signed...
Montreal.
No, sorry, they got Mark Mathot. Okay, they got Mark Mathot from Las Vegas. Las Vegas got him in the expansion draft. Mark Mathot started his career before Ottawa here.
You want to make, essentially, that sounds awesome.
A family tree.
You want no. What you're telling me when you're describing this is you want to make a YouTube rabbit hole for hockey transactions.
Yes. Yes.
Because I would spend hours on the website and then show up like next day hanging with you guys. Be like, guys, I was just up till 4 a.m. Hold on. I know how the 03 Hurricanes were made. Name any line. Name him. I'll tell him where he's been. All right, Justin Williams, here we go, and just dive in. Okay, before we head off, I don't know if you have any closing words, but we forgot to mention, like, when this happened when I was gone, but I totally forgot to mention it. We got to make a trip to Jacksonville.
Why?
Jets have a new ECHL affiliation, the Jacksonville Icemen.
They do.
They have
Icemen.
Yeah. Well, Greg, you're already going to be their favorite team, Jacksonville Jaguars, only when they're doing good. Barry Bonds asterisk.
My
We've
favorite
heard this on the
NFL
podcast.
team is the Atlanta Falcons. My favorite AFC team is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
With Blakey Bortman.
Blakey Bortles.
And what about that new guy they signed, Justin Fouquet? What's his name?
Fournette.
There we go. That was close.
He's fucking good.
He's
a good
the
running
coach is
back.
quoted as saying, "I'm going to run the ball every play."
Yeah,
You're on
because
defense.
you know what?
He's still on.
Have you seen Blake Bortles throw last year? He's like, and triple coverage.
Greg,
And double coverage.
I don't know what a quarterback is. I'm a Vikings fan.
This is true. So, homework for next week.
Watch The Room, all of us.
Or watch Nostalgia Critics
We actually have to
Room
watch
review.
it.
Nostalgia
Watch
Critics.
Nostalgia Critic,
Okay, I got to
The
write this
Room.
down.
Watch that review. It'll change your life. And by change your life, I mean it'll make sure you never have to watch it. Because there's a couple sex scenes in the movie. I'll put it out there. You do see things. You also see probably the most improbable sex position of all time.
Okay. We got the explicit tags, so we're fine. Yeah. Everything we're talking about will be in the description below, so just follow the tags and the links.
Okay.
All right, Greg, what do you say?
If you want to check us out, if you want to connect to the show, follow us on Twitter at LastMinUtePC. If you want to connect with us, email us at lastminutepc@gmail.com. You can also check us out on YouTube. Look us up there at Last Minute Podcast. Also check us out on Podomatic. Take us on the go wherever you go, whether that be through the iTunes app or through Google Play. Type in Last Minute Podcast and you'll find us there.